Welcome, Sagittarius. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, and I pulled from the Glyph Oracle for you today, Primordial and Water. You can see this beautiful card, hands trickling water into a deep ocean. These cards are so stimulating to me. This is giving me a clear message of, first and foremost, your healing journey, your healing process, which has been incredibly vast. It has produced tremendous changes in your outer character and personality. For instance, if you have been seen as a very social, active person, you have become to love your sacred, more introverted space. And that is because you are deeply processing not only a safe place to allow your healing emotions to emerge, but you are making deep connections with your past lives, past roles in your past lives, past responsibilities, tasks, things that you achieved, difficulties that you encountered. Um, and you are understanding how your current life chosen by you is bringing together a number of threads and themes that you are healing. So you're becoming increasingly aware that this life is not a one-off, even as regards a particular healing path. This is definitely connected to some kind of generational healing that you are highly sensitized to, you are witnessing, you are participating in some fundamental way. You are healing generations, but also cultures, history at some level where the things you've learned, the gifts you've brought in with you are impacting the world in those particular ways. The card that has come up for you is the Five of Pentacles, and this is in part showing me how you have shed the kind of labeling that you received from an early age. The role you were assigned, the lane you were given, you have rejected that. And as a result of that rejection, you literally stepped outside into the cold. You were not thrown out or cast out. You stepped out of something that could have been quite secure, quite comfortable, and you purposely chose to move outside to find out what was available for you. You may not have had the clear clues that you are now gaining, but you knew that you were displaced somehow, and that in order to stay in this feels like family of origin, you would not thrive. You could not thrive. You could barely breathe. You had to leave. And that leaving was unexpected. It did not break ties, by no means. And much of the patterning and condition has carried on through your life. But you are rejecting again, understanding more fundamentally why that was a place you opted to be, and yet could not grow into your current capacity, your empowerment in that environment in order to heal it. You understood you were coming back to change it. Underneath the deck, what's underneath the deck? The Three of Cups shows me how you've replaced that family of origin. You have learned that you get to choose relationships that choose you back. And that has been hard won, because some sense I have is that you have always been popular and accommodating, a positive influence in the life of your community or in the life of others. And so having friends has not been difficult, but maintaining, committing to relationships perhaps has. And instead of seeking and replacing old relationships, you're simply allowing them to organically emerge in your life. This is a general reading, Sagittarius, so it isn't going to resonate with all of you. If you're interested in a personal reading, information for that is in the description box below. And overall, I really appreciate the time that you are spending with me. I understand that my readings rely on your energy, so it feels as though you're gifting me with your time. So I appreciate that and thank you very much. In your present energy, the Lover's card, this is about a choice you're having to make. And I don't necessarily feel like this is a clear black and white choice. This feels more like the traditional Egyptian deck depiction of the Lover's card. It was called the Two Paths. And on one, there is, of course, a male figure in the center, and he's choosing between what looks like the divine feminine and a lower, less refined version of that. So it is put in a somewhat offensive language, but I think the symbolism is clear. The high road or the low road. This is always the choice you've had. And I think particularly for the Sagittarian energy, which is naturally exploratory, wandering, discovering, seeking adventure and newness, uh, I don't know that you have thought about your experiences in that way. You're always questing for new experiences, new growth, new things to learn. You're always recycling it through your ability to teach or model or share. However, I think this is indicating you at somewhat of a crossroads, understanding that the decision you make can have longer term impacts, but what you're actually going for is not what you have gone for in the past, which is something that feels good in the moment, something that is a good time. Um, no harm, no foul. However, you have increasingly moved towards areas of or enterprises, opportunities that represent long-term growth because your stability and your security is very important to you. It feels as though it has been a lifetime challenge to nail down the kind of security perhaps you had as a young person, or perhaps you feel you've never had. But this is a goal, and in order to gain that, you understand that it must be done with the resources and relationships you have that support you, that see you. In the past, the Eight of Cups this is almost like a mini life story at this point. I see you not once, not even twice, but being in situations where you built and gained courage and fortitude from the work that you've done with a variety of diverse individuals, and that you have gained all you can gain from those situations, being a fairly quick learner, being a fairly um, comfortable mastering a variety of skills and tasks. So there is an issue of boredom here, and that was probably more an issue of boredom in your youth. But ultimately, you wanted to feel that your efforts were building towards something of significance to you. And when that wasn't clear, or when it seemed clear that you weren't the one who was going to be promoted or put forward in that position of leadership, you have moved on to create opportunities of real challenge and of greater significance, opportunities that define you. And I think it's interesting that the idea of boredom continues to come up here, because I think that that was part of a way of masking the deep need for meaning that you had in your life, a deep way that you wanted to thread together the multiplicity of experiences, relationships you've had into some kind of a narrative, some kind of a whole that you could understand, that you could push. And because of this deep work that I believe many of you are choosing to do now, many of you chose to do in this lifetime, that was too hard, too unpopular, too isolating for you to approach perhaps in years past. And now you feel yourself more than willing to devote yourself to what is going to give your life ultimate significance, what is defining you in a way that you choose. And this is the hard work, but the very rewarding work that you are engaged in now. And that can be roughly summarized as your healing journey, but it's a far greater impact to the world than simply your personal healing journey. In the future, the Ace of Pentacles. Wow. So here we are. You've arrived at the place of seeking the abundance, the stability, and the security that you have longed for. And it feels as though much of your life has eluded you. The opportunity for real abundance, a real sense of being anchored to a place, a project, or a passion. And I'm getting from you a sense of passion that is what motivates you, what you're willing to work hard for. And this passion is most likely a incredible gift that you've always had, a, a gift that you felt meant that you had to be on the outs. You had to be a starving artist, or you had to be working for nonprofit organizations forever in low-paying work. And it's interesting because, in fact, you are willing to work hard in those spaces. You are comfortable devoting yourself to education or religion or those higher institutions of cultural and philosophical values and resonance. Uh, you're willing to work hard, but you're actually finding a mine where that actually gives you the sense of stability and belonging that you have always craved. I'm going to clarify the Lover's card here in the present with the Justice card. And this is interesting because, yeah, in the beginning, we started with this sense of connecting up past lives, past experiences, finding the theme, balancing out this desire for lust of new adventures, excitement, um, uh, even a kind of ease, but abundance of a certain type. It's almost like a spiritual or cultural abundance. I feel like for many of you, you have in the past sought to be the party people, where people were happening, were around people that were doing things that invigorates you, with this other side of you as you've matured, where you have recognized the work that needs to be done in order to release your gifts in a just way. And I feel like this balance is being achieved for you, so that not just the gifts that you have cultivated, that you desire to share with the world, but the realization that your gifts can have an incredible or sizable impact on communities, cultures, other groups or individuals that was formerly unclear to you, formerly nebulous. I believe that you have understood that your life here is devoted to a service, and that service includes helping others to find empowerment and to advocate for themselves, as you are adept at advocating for others or the causes that you know are critical to the health and well-being, the abundance of the world. In the past, the Eight of Cups is clarified by the Magician. And this is, I think, the sense of former experiences where you invested yourself in the relationships honestly, and then assess that you weren't getting enough of what you needed as an individual to go the distance, that you learned what you could learn and quickly understood that this was not it, that you wanted to reach towards a challenge, which you are the challenge of expressing yourself authentically, leading your own story, your own purpose, perhaps you creating a project or a plan or an opportunity that allowed you to put together the resources that you have, particularly around the people that you know, investing in people in a way that helps you to actualize a plan, a creation, an expression that is authentic to you. So it feels like there's a story that you're telling, a story that has been incomplete for some time, even a false story that you told yourself to accommodate a variety of situations in which you were perhaps not truly valued, or your value was blocked. Your participation was blocked when your value was realized. And that is coming clear as well. There were people who saw your value and uh, didn't want to give you credit for your innovation, your ideas, your willingness or desire to bring more people in. I'd love to know to what extent that may be true for some of you. You can drop that in the comments if you feel inclined. And for the Ace of Pentacles in the future, we have the Nine of Water. Wow. So this new path, this new project that you are beginning, it's something that I think you've already started on it. You may have been on it for a while, but it is giving you the fulfillment that you have been seeking, the personal joy, the personal pleasure in crafting, in creating, in working with others, with communities of others, with new locations, that satisfies your desire for learning about people, learning about new things, exploring and discovering the world. You're finding a way to satisfy that through a new project, something you're beginning. And it feels as though this new beginning has been percolating for a while. However, you're getting anchored within your own sense of needs and values, so that you aren't simply building a model empire somewhere. You are instead, the purpose of the stability and abundance you seek, this prosperity you seek, is because you understand that your effort is worthy of that you are deserving of that. What you have to offer is worthy of abundance. It's worthy of attention. It's worthy of being anchored in the community, established in some real way. And in that way, only in that way, can you really be safe and free to share your gifts with others. I'm going to finish up this reading with a Soul's Journey Oracle, hoping you've enjoyed this reading. And I pulled for the Sagittarians. The key word is honesty, and this feels like something that has been a feature of your spiritual makeup for a long time. I can't always expect the truth from others, but I can expect it from myself. And I do think this reflects back on the masks that you have cultivated in the past, the happiness that you portrayed, the cheerleader energy that is always there to support others, to encourage others, hid a lot of fear, a lot of unknowns in your own life. And understanding what you were hiding from yourself has liberated you in many ways, has opened you up, and is giving you satisfaction in the fact that this is a skill that you can now leverage authentically and correctly for your own growth and happiness. Thank you so much. If you've enjoyed this reading, please check out more content here. And until next time, Sagittarius, namaste.